Hey y'all, how's it going? Happy day 6 of reveals. Today is Undead Day. I'm pretty sure this is day 6. Honestly, I'm losing track a little bit. We have 2 more days after today though. We have Beast tomorrow and then Dragon and Murloc. And then we are done, ready for the new season on August 20th. We got some real spicy things coming up for Undead and kind of a brand new way to play. Let's talk about it. As per usual, we start with what's leaving. Our first minion leaving is the Hungering Abomination. This was a pretty heavy board anchor for the back of your undead board and gained a lot of stats whenever your minions died. So we have a bit of a replacement for it, but we're not there yet. Another pretty important board anchor is leaving. Sister Deathwhisper is leaving. She left, she came back, and she is leaving once again. So we saw 2 board anchors leave, and now we're seeing something that you usually play at the front of your board. The Hateful Hag is going away. I personally have had some not fantastic experiences with this minion and Leroy, killing my very, very large things that I worked very hard on. So I'm not gonna miss it that much. And for last minion leaving, we have Nightbane Ignited. This is the undead dragon that gave attack to other minions. That one is going as well. We have 1 minion that is coming back. This is a minion, honestly, I'm gonna be real. I don't remember it that well. I don't know if I just didn't play a lot of Undead at the time that it was in, or maybe it was in for a very short amount of time. This is Xylobones coming back to tier 3 after you summon a minion in combat, gain +2 health permanently. This feels like the Trigor equivalent of Undead, and honestly, I'm not mad about this. I'm excited to see it in play. Now then, let's talk about our new minions, because I feel like I already hinted at something before. But we're not going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about tier 2 first. We have the Museum Mummy coming to tier 2. This is a battle cry. Summon a 1/1 skeleton. The golden version summons a 2/2 skeleton. This is actually a really big deal, and here's why. Before this minion, we had 2 minions that acted similarly of a battle cry summon. We had the Murloc Tidehunter and we had the Alley Cat Beast. They were both on tier 1 and the whole situation was very, very broken and very, very good. On tier 2, I think that this is just going to be a pretty normal, pretty good minion. The battle cry does come in handy because that's that extra token that you can sell if you want to complete a board. And then you can keep the main body, or you can, in the past with Alley Cat, we sold the main body and kept the token so that we could keep buying the main body. But of course, tier 1, very different than tier 2. Thankfully, with spells in, we do have a lot of other options when we get to tier 2 on that 5 gold turn of like, oh, well, I only have this much gold, but I can take 3 damage and that can act as a coin. Or I can have this 2 gold spell. There's a lot of different ways you can go. So I think that this is a nice fit. Next on tier 4, we have the Prosthetic Hand, which we saw already during our mech reveal. This is a magnetic reborn that can magnetize to both mech or undead. Great for very obvious reasons. Right now, if you want to give something a permanent reborn, it's kind of a process. You have to get a mummifier and then a grave robber and use a grave robber on the mummifier and make sure that it hits the minion you want. Otherwise, you have to repeat the process. Now you can just magnetic this minion to the minion you want reborn. I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we kind of have a new strategy for undead. This minion is going to start that conversation. We have the Cadaver Caretaker on tier 4. This is a death rattle of summon 4 1/1 skeletons. But Sway, how do I summon 4 things? How do I have space on my board to summon 4 things? That is where our next minion comes into play, the Thundering Abomination on tier 4. As opposed to Hungering, this abomination is thundering. I don't know what the act of to thunder is, but that's what this abomination is doing. Whenever you summon a minion in combat, give it +2/+2. If there is no space, gain +2/+2 permanently. We've all had those situations where we're playing a Rivendare and one of our minions gets griefed, or multiple of our minions get griefed, and we're like, no, my Eternal Knight, or no, my hands from my Handless Forsaken. This negates that issue because it gains stats permanently. So your Cadaver Caretaker dies. Oh no, you didn't get all 4 of your 1/1s. Well, that doesn't matter because instead Abomination got some health and attack and it's good. And going even a step further, we have our Catacomb Crasher on tier 5. Whenever you would summon a minion that doesn't fit in your warband, give your minions +1/+1 permanently. Oh no, my Cadaver Caretaker died and I didn't get all 4 of my skeletons. Well, my Abomination got +2/+2 and also my whole board got buffed. I'm not mad about not getting all those skeletons anymore. Really, really, really excited to try this new strategy with Undead. All that being said, let's get to the trinkets. We're starting with our lesser trinkets. Our first one is the Eternal Portrait. We just talked about Eternal Knights. This is 4 gold. Get an Eternal Knight and a start of combat effect. Give your Eternal Knights Taunt and Reborn. We know that situation when you have Eternal Summoners and you've really been scaling your Eternal Knights throughout the whole game. Your Eternal Summoners just have these massive minions coming out of them, and you already have scaled your attack on your undead. Everything's beautiful. It's really hard to get through that board, right? This is a great start for that. Eternal Portrait looks really, really good to me. And the fact that they get Taunt and Reborn, meaning they're targetable, and Sindora is gone. Sindora Straight Shot is gone. That means that their Taunt and Reborn cannot go away. Someone could remove the minion by, you know, trading into it, but it can't just lose the Reborn. That's awesome. Next is Staff of the Scourge for 3 gold, Avenge 5, give a random friendly minion Reborn. I can't remember if this was in Battlegrounds or was just a putricide little guy, but it's that minion that has Taunt and Reborn after a certain number of minions die. And this feels like that, but it's random. But theoretically, if you're really summoning that many minions, which you usually are with an undead board, you probably get a good amount of value from this. I do like this, and I'm excited to try this one for sure. I think that it's going to be good. Next is the Comfy Coffin for 4 gold. After you cast a tavern spell, your undead have +1 attack this game wherever they are. Buffing undead attack is so versatile. You have an Avenge unit, the Primus. You have a Death Rattle with a Nubarok. You have a Battle Cry with the Death Swarmer. And now you can buff with tavern spells. Oh, butchering, you have a tavern spell that does that specifically, but now every tavern spell does it. Spell Undead. I don't think that there's been like a Spell Undead affinity so much, so I like this idea. I think that it's really fun. Here's one that we've seen already. This is Fishy Sticker, 2 gold, start of combat, summon a fish from Zoth that copies Death Rattles. Of course, you need room on your board for the fish, so make sure you don't forget that it's there. I think this is the one case in which I actually would not forget to leave a board space because I love that fish so much. Our next trinket is Twin Sky Lanterns for 2 gold. When you have space, summon a copy of the first minion you summon each combat. So this is the first minion you summon during your combat. So if your Handless Forsaken dies and you get the hand of the Handless Forsaken, that would be the first minion you summon during combat. So let's keep that in mind when we're making decisions for the Twin Sky Lanterns. Regardless, it is a really, really good opportunity for value, and it's when you have space, so it's not going to grief anything on your board. And though this has an undead affinity, that first minion could be anything, although there's only so many minion types that summon during combat. Next is the Feral Talisman, 3 gold. Your minions have +2/+1. I mean, the little extra buff is nice. I don't tend to play into tempo things, and I feel like this is just some nice tempo. It's not bad. Next is the Ceremonial Sword for 3 gold. Whenever a friendly minion attacks, give it +4 attack. So say that you and your opponent are having just a really just back-to-back, your minions are attacking and not dying. It stacks. Regardless, that's like some pretty nice little buff there. Again, kind of leans into the tempo, so maybe not my first choice, but that's some heavy attack. 2 more lesser trinkets left. The next one is Artisanal Urn. This is 3 gold. Your undead have +3 attack. So this is undead specific, but it doesn't require an attack to give that extra attack. So all of the undead on your board, and just like I said, if undead summon, this is an aura buff. So your undead have +3 attack. That's great. If you're not finding those attack buffers, this is just nice to have a nice little baseline to start building your board. This next one, I would like to formally apologize to this beautiful, beautiful jewelry. This is the Windrunner Necklace for 3 gold. Your leftmost minion has +8 attack in combat. My brain said, this is a start of combat effect. If you watched my video yesterday, my brain said, this is not very good. And then my mouth out loud said, this is not very good. But actually, this is very, very good. So whatever minion is your leftmost minion, when that leftmost minion dies and then something else moves to the left, that is going to also have +8 attack in combat. That could add up so much, especially if you're playing undead and summoning things and doing more things and summoning even more things after that. That's really good. So From the bottom of my heart, Windrunner Necklace, I'm very sorry. I said I wasn't going to play you, but I would love to play you if you want to show up for me. I understand if you don't, but please do. That being said, we're moving on to our greater trinkets. This first greater trinket is one that, of course, I'm very excited about. This is the Rivendare Portrait. For 2 gold, get a Titus Rivendare with the start of combat effect of give your Titus Rivendares stealth. So you're saying I can get a minion that I would like to live till the end of the turn, and it can get stealth. And my goal right now is to overstuff my warband. I see no downside to this, and it's only 2 gold, and I love this, and I want to play it every single time, forever and ever and ever. Our next greater trinket, this is the Butcher's Sickle. It's 3 gold, get a Butchering, the spell, in random undead with a death rattle. At the start of each turn, repeat this. This is a fantastic way of scaling the attack on your undead. Ever since we've gotten this Mummifier Grave Robber thing that I talked about earlier, I really haven't used this spell very much. But it's really kind of good. I see no downside. I only see upsides. I would absolutely play this on an undead board. Next is Mug of the Sire. This is 3 gold. Whenever you would summon a minion that doesn't fit your warband, give your minions +4 attack. We have our Overstuff board, and we have a trinket to specifically support the Overstuff board. I really, really, really like this. I would put all of the Overstuff things at the front and then just watch the board scale to the moon. Next up, we have Comfy Coffin, but the greater version. This is 4 gold. After you cast a tavern spell, your undead have +2 attack this game, wherever they are. I feel like I'd be more likely to take the lesser than the greater, but I still think I would definitely try the greater. I think at this point, I would be using my spells moderately more specifically than I would have been 3 turns prior. But this is definitely one that I would like to see in play before making that call. Our next trinket is the greater version of the Fishy Sticker. This is the same. It's 4 gold, but start of combat, summon a golden fish of N'Zoth that copies death rattles. So if you've never actually had a golden fish of N'Zoth before, it does all of the death rattles twice. So it is the best friend for a Overstuff board. I, of course, am excited to play this. That goes without saying. We now have the greater version of Twin Sky Lanterns. This is a pretty important distinction. For 2 gold, when you have space, summon 2 copies of the first minion you summon each combat. So this is not the first 2. This is 2 copies of the first. I would, at this point, very specifically curate what minion would be the first one I summon, but I would absolutely play this. All right, moving on, we have Horde Keychain. For 2 gold, your minions from tier 3 or lower have +6/+4. Again, this is not a start of combat. I feel like this is not so bad, especially for the undead, because even if it's a larger minion, right? Like, so let's use the new example of the tier 4 minion that summons 4 1/1 skeletons. The tier 4 minion wouldn't get the buff, but all the skeletons that come from that tier 4 minion would, because it's a tier 1 minion. It's just a little bit more support, a little bit more tempo, makes your board a little bit stickier. Speaking of tempo, our greater version of our Feral Talisman is here. This is 3 gold. Your minions have +5/+3, which is really funny because I'm like, I might play the Horde Keychain, but then for the Feral Talisman, I'm like, I don't know about that. Which, like, it's just -1/-1. And it doesn't even have the tier restriction. Why am I like this? This is a really good trinket. Great tempo. Really, really good. Next, we have Reinforced Shield. Whenever you summon a minion, give it Divine Shield 4 times per combat. Okay, hear me out. The combination of Twin Sky Lanterns and Reinforced Shield. That is super annoying to remove from a board, and I really, really, really like it. All right, moving on, we have the greater version of Artisanal Urn. This is 5 gold. Your undead have +7 attack. Again, you haven't found a lot of ways to scale the attack of your undead. Well, the urn is there for you and will scale your undead without having to play things or buy things or do things. They just have them. Pay 5 gold, and then all of your undead have +7 attack. That's a pretty good deal. This is one I'm pretty excited about. This is Bronze Timepiece for 4 gold. Start of combat, set each of your minions' attack and health to the higher of the 2. Okay, in this scenario, you have, in fact, scaled the attack of your undead. And we know if you get going, it goes pretty quick. You start really scaling the attack. However, health is usually where things lack. Bronze Timepiece makes that not a problem because the attack will match the health. And instead of being a 6/1, it's a 6/6. That's really good, and I'm very, very excited about it. And last but not least, I already apologized to this trinket, but I'm going to do it again. To the greater trinket, the Windrunner Necklace, 4 gold. Your leftmost minion has plus 20 attack in combat. It is not a start of combat effect. It's just really, really, really good, and I'm really, really sorry, Necklace. I want you all to know, whenever I was recording last time, I was like, man, I'm going to find a way to like this. I'm going to really try and I'm going to find a way to like it. Well, I didn't have to really try. I just had to, you know, turn my brain on. And now I really like it. So mission accomplished. All right, that was everything for Undead. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you're excited about in the comments. And I will see you all tomorrow for some really spicy beast reveals. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.